Welcome back to the Chelsea channel. My name is Chelsea. This is my channel. If you're new here, we do have some new listeners from last week's episode about the GATE program and growing up in Falmouth. I'm in Massachusetts. And I think that's what caught everybody's attention was me saying that I was, raised in Falmouth. I don't know what that was, but the Instagram just pushed it to the right people. And all these people from my past or from my childhood were all of a sudden on my Instagram talking to me, and I hadn't seen their face since third grade, second grade, or forgotten, they existed. Just not because they suck or because they're ordinary, but because I'm 36. But yeah, so that was cool. I saw some people I hadn't seen in so long. But let me get this straight though. Okay, for everybody, because the podcast here, we're still in the preliminary stages of the podcast. If you've been listening to the show since the beginning, I've come a long way since talking about the ocean and comparing it to a vagina. So we're going to start going up the tier here in a little, I'm trying to get a little bit more mature. Those jokes were great, but to get it all out in the beginning was nice. I still want to be comedy. I still want to be funny, but people really like the nostalgic topics, the spooky topics. People like talking about New England topics. People like talking about the Cape. It seems to be what the algorithm wants me to do. I refuse to speak too much about the restaurant industry just because I speak about it to exhaustion. I had, my comedy stuff go off without a hitch, like on TikTok and Instagram back in 2021, and I proceeded to make an entire career out of that. But I understand 15 minutes of fame is up in that space. And when you try to push that envelope too far onto people, I believe that it gets stale, the passion gets dead, and then no longer feels like you no longer feel in love with that. So I had to put that to rest, but I cannot put to rest my creative juices. I've always been making videos and podcasting since I was a child, before podcast was a thing. I used to pretend to have my own talk shows, NPR shows, cooking shows, constantly with a video camera in front of me. I could turn the camera now, but I won't. I have like a VHS player and like 100, that's dramatic, but there's a lot of VHS tapes, and then I have discs, and then I have another camcorder which recorded on DVDs, and I have hundreds of those, and the hundreds and hundreds of hours of me doing this with a without a microphone or using a spatula, depending on the age that I am. And then more DVDs of me doing it in high school and local theater like that. So this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Clearly, I love to speak. We just spoke last week about the GATE program and how I was a twice exceptional child whose paperwork was completely buried to my parents' face, and that there actually was nothing to do in the 90s for a twice exceptional child. And if you're new here and you don't know and you didn't listen to the last episode to catch you up, twice exceptional child is a child who was, diagnosed and tested, or trying to be diagnosed or trying to be tested for special ed services or an IEP, or a gifted program, or testing their intelligence through different tests. And the ones that I got tested with back were old school, and it's no longer the same. It's similar. I'll get into this in the next Patreon episode. But I was like not needing sped services. However, I did have some categories where I was below average. And then the rest were all exceptional, and they were all in the gifted categories, so that's a twice exceptional child who really deserves sped services and also gifted programming. My life's great. I'm glad I didn't get put into any program. The labeling would have really thrown me off. The labeling of ADHD and that I was a problem and being tested already kind of fucked me up. So I'm kind of happy in hindsight, but it would have been interesting to know that I had a talent in vocabulary in the 130, whatever it was, IQ that I had for vocabulary and speaking and speech and understanding concepts way above my grade or my age level. So that makes sense that I'm going to be, creating with word. I like to create words. So here we are. We're here. We're creating words on my podcast, The Chelsea Channel, which, by the way, if you're new here again, The Chelsea Channel was created in the 90s. I've been doing this, okay? It's just a different modality. This is just a different place it's sitting in, but it's always going to sit somewhere. So welcome to the show. If I had an intro, I'd do it now. Oh, it sounds like Michael. Oh, my kids love Michael. Is it true that he was like, we're finding out that he actually was saving the children? He was saving the children? He was saving the children. I saw this on the internet. I'm going to have to go ahead and say, I told you so. You know, I watched that documentary and I looked at my fiance at the time. He was my fiance husband now. And I said, I think these kids are lying. Back then, I mean, I was a monster. So I didn't tell anybody that. I don't think that's a very popular opinion, but I think there might be something to that, to the Michael Jackson saving people instead of harming the children. Yeah, I don't know. And then he died. I don't know. You know, it's kind of hairy. It gets a little weird. Okay, Prince. It's all very strange. We'll save that for another day because I am very, actually, you know what? I'm pulling the wool over your eyes. I am extremely educated on his death and what led up to that. Allegedly, it needs to be used a lot. I'm very aware that it's conspiratorial. I'm very aware that it is a conspiracy. I'm very aware that it is not a very popular opinion outwardly. But I do believe in my heart that there are a lot of millennial people out there that would like to say, I told you so. And I never believed it, but I just pretended to believe that Michael was hurting children. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say, I think in my conscience, in my heart, that he was a good person. Deranged, sure. A little weird, of course. I mean, his childhood, right? But I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with being heavily medicated when you might not even realize you're being medicated. I don't know that famous people have freedom. And this is why I never wanted to become famous. I was voted most likely to be famous when I was in high school. And after, if you listen to the last episode, you know that I'm really good at patterns, people patterns. I follow patterns, like to a mastery level, clearly. And I'm literally can't do math. I literally can't do math. I literally can't do geography. I literally can't do science. But I can follow patterns to the point where it's very creepy. It's scary. And I have dreams in patterns, and I have dreams about people's lives. I can tell you, and then everything happens according to plan, as long as these people stay on their path. I mean, I literally, knock on wood, have yet to be wrong. I started writing things down because it's like getting to the point where I need to start writing things down. I need to start writing things down just for proof because I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm really good at patterns. And there's something about famous people. They don't feel free. Their eyes don't feel free. I'm looking at them. They don't feel free. When they're on podcasts and they're getting interviewed on the red carpet, things like that. And so I stopped listening to or watching all celebrity related shows, TVs, podcasts. I think I gave myself like 3. And then I deleted everything. I stopped following all celebrities, and I have never been less anxiety ridden in my life. I started rolling it back in 2020, and then I think I got this call from this production company that works out of Georgia, I believe, or I don't know where they were working out of, but I think they were going to be filming in Georgia for a Amazon Prime movie. And amazing people, really nice. They took meetings with me. They sent me a script. They had a role for me. And I sat on it for a while because I was just like, you know what? I want to have another baby. This isn't going to work. I don't want to leave my son. That's insane. I'm not aspiring to be an actress. I've never wanted to be famous. And the TikTok thing is as far as I want to go. This is as far as I'd like to go in regards to having to sign off my rights, meaning all creative rights. So unless I was going to make the movie, direct the movie, produce the movie, fund the movie, and also act in the movie, I'm not going to do it. I mean, that's as of, March 2026. I don't believe that there's an amount of money or amount of opportunity that could get me alone in a room with anybody that has writes over my artistic ability. I don't know. Is that crazy? Am I a crazy person? Maybe I'm crazy. I'm like a little bit crazy. I can accept that I'm a little bit crazy, but I just don't feel like being trapped or being in chains. And so I'm obviously talking about, I'm being metaphorical, but it would feel that way for me because my art's so important to me. And my mouth is so important to me. My voice is so important to me. And I do like doing plays, but I was always going off book too much. I would always go off book. I like improv. I like stand up. I mean, I'm going to write my material, sure, when I did TikTok, but a lot of it I went off book. I was like, all of a sudden I went rogue. The script that I wrote was out the fucking window within 2 seconds. A lot of that stuff on TikTok is completely on the spot, to be quite honest with you. No matter how much writing I would do, I would never do what I said I was going to do. And it was always way funnier when I just was free. I can't be held down. That's why I didn't like school. That's why I didn't like working. That's why I didn't like doing anything where I don't even like being in airplanes. I don't like being on a bus. I don't like assigned seats. Weddings are hard. Weddings are hard. I do not like assigned seating. I just don't know. I feel like that's probably relatable to a lot of people, but the severity of how much I don't like it, I'm not sure if that's relatable. I hope it is, because I hope that there are other people that really were born this way. I wonder if it's like a C-section. Oh, yeah, there's the pattern. C-section children probably seek freedom since birth, right? Because they didn't choose their birth. Except, okay, for C-section children who were planned C-sections, or mid-birth, they had to go to emergency C-sections. This is hurtful. I've had 2 C-sections, and let me just tell you, as a mother who's had 2 C-sections, I talk about this all the time. I struggle bus the fact that I had 2 C-sections. I feel like I didn't give birth. Okay, you understanding? I don't care how many times you can tell me that it saves lives. I don't care how many times you can throw statistics in my face about how many times it saves lives. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I, Chelsea, this person with the mouth speaking, I feel like birth happened to me. You can't take that away from me. That's how I'm feeling. And you don't need to fix it because it scares you. It scares a lot of people when I say that. It scares a lot of people when I say that. People who have had C-sections, people who've given birth vaginally, or maybe they're feeling guilt. I don't know what it is, but I'm allowed to speak. So I speak. And unfortunately, not all speech is cushion. It's not cushy. You have to be tough out there, people. You got to be tough out there. Or you can just, curate your life where you have all these people in your life that don't hurt your feelings. You could just scurry around trying to find. Nobody was going to give you pushback. Nobody that's going to say anything extraordinary too much. And no one's going to say anything too scary. No one's going to say, and you could absolutely do that, because I used to do that. I used to gather all of the people, okay, that were going to be nice to me because I was hurt so many times. And that didn't work, because now I'm running around talking to yes men, right? Yes men. Yes, 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 yes. Do it. That's amazing. You look great. Absolutely. No problem. You got it. Wow. That was interesting. That wasn't boring. That was safe. Not safe. You're right. That wasn't safe. Pushback. And then I had to take ownership of how I handle the pushback. So if I handle the pushback with closing off and retreating and saying, I don't want to be friends with you, you're mean, that's on me, But if that happens to me, I have to accept that. And that has happened to me. I lost a best friend because of my way of speaking, I guess. I don't really know. You know what's even more interesting? It was never even explained. It was never even explained to me. Isn't that crazy? And I want to roll it back because I don't know. Best friend. I sound like I'm 16. I lost a friend because of the way that I was treating her with, my feelings, I guess. I don't know. I was really going through it at the time. And I think out loud. I'm doing it now. I'm going to regret this episode. I probably won't even air this episode because this is such a touchy, sensitive subject to discuss something like losing a friendship on national television. Just kidding. On a podcast. But that's the whole point of making this podcast. It's not for you guys. No offense. It's for my kids. And it's for my kids. Because one of these fuckers is going to talk, walk, and look like me. And I don't know about you, but if you ever feel like the black sheep of the family, you look around to the left, you look around to the right, and you're like, who the fuck are these people? Where do I fit in? Why am I making everybody upset? Why am I strange? Why am I not looking like that? Why am I not talking like that? Why am I not walking like that? Why am I so short? What's going on? Of course I'm short. My parents are short. But just in general, the black sheep of the family, you do it to yourself. I do it to myself. I point out all the things that I don't have in common with my family, but literally absolutely refuse to look at what I have in common with my family. So you can get really black sheeped and really isolated if you're not willing to look at the good stuff. And so I feel like when I have a friend and I say something that's, hurtful to you or mean or, it's a boundary. I've hit a boundary. And I keep doing it and I keep doing it and I keep doing it, or they keep doing it to me. How many times are you going to let that person hit that boundary before you say, excuse me, maybe we need to find a different way to talk about this because I love you but we just are not seeing eye to eye on this. How can we find a way to not then label that person or put them in a category of not like us? And if they don't want to treat you in the way you'd like to be treated, it's your job then to decide if you're willing to look past their shortcomings and to then focus on what you do have in common and see if you can find it in you to kind of massage that area of the relationship. Can you massage the area of the relationship where you are bonded? Or are you no longer seeing eye to eye? Is this hurting your feelings because you've actually truly grown apart? And that is kind of what I think happened to me. I just think that we grew apart. But to label them or to say like, I don't believe in the way you speak, or I don't believe it's just so interesting. It's just so interesting because there again is this like underlining judgment about judgment. You're judging somebody about the way that they were judging a situation. For example, like let's just think of an example. So I had an old boss who I loved dearly, right? And they would judge me for the way that I worked, okay? But at the same time, they loved what I did. They didn't like the way I did it. Like really did not like the way I worked. But they loved the result of the work. And so I watched this boss, which was like a mother to me, really struggle, for the first couple of years. And I was struggling because I wanted to be a good girl and do the job the right way, but I physically couldn't do it the way that she wanted to. And, if you don't think that this spreads into our relationship, of course it did. The way I communicate, the way I talk, the way she communicates, the way she talks. It does, years after years of just trying to figure out how we can make it symbiotic instead of completely firing me. Me saying she's a horrible boss, me saying I don't want to work with somebody like that, me saying she wasn't. But I'm just giving an example now. I'm exaggerating. But, it on paper, it didn't make sense. But the relationship was built off of respect of differences. And then because the things that we had in common were so beautiful, like so seamless, it just sucked that it was like, the boss and work element was the most time we spent together. So it really was a struggle. But over the years, it got easier. And then it got to the point where it would be, it was like a beautiful work relationship. It just took time to get to know each other in that way. And that's what I mean by how much patience do you have for somebody? What's the real, like, even if you do grow apart, is the relationship worth saving? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just not. and you lose that friend or you lose that lover, husband, wife. It's unsalvable. Your feelings are too hurt. You couldn't see past. You couldn't massage or love onto or grab onto what started it in the first place. There's too much resentment, and you literally have almost nothing in common. And the only thing you have in common is that you're friends. That happens to me a lot. And what I've realized, I think the reason why that happens, not to get woo-woo, but it's because I was born under a new moon. There was no moon in the sky. So every day is a brand new moon for me. So you're born on a full moon. You're kind of like balls to the wall, hardcore, fully committed, fully aware. New moon people love starting new things, which means we're going to love starting new friends, new friendships, new relationships, new skins, new fashion, new everything. Like everything's new. My hair curled randomly. Why? Like naturally just started to curl after I gave birth to my daughter. And I understand it's hormones, but it's also symbolic because I was ready for a change. I was ready. I was ready. I was a girl mom and a boy mom. I was going to be 35. I was ready to kind of really solidify and sit into my personality, which was like, I wanted to like stamp it and be confirmed and kind of move on from changing my personalities all the time. Because a person who is twice exceptional, I can imagine, or any ADD or neurodivergent person, I can't speak for all of you, but I can speak for myself. So I'm assuming there's a bunch of you that can cast a net over and we're similar, where you are constantly trying, especially if it was not a great childhood when you were labeled, right? We're constantly trying to grab for and look for a mask that will fit forever. A forever mask. And so in doing that, you might change yourself a lot. You're trying to figure out what people want to see because you think what people, I don't want to cry, but you might think because this is how I feel. I feel like who I am, people don't like. Because I do lose some friends, but I quite literally have such good friends as well, like ride or die, hardcore friends. And like I said earlier, when you're trying to look for and always looking to be the black sheep, always looking to be the odd one out, always looking to be the neurodivergent, always trying to define yourself with your neurodivergency. I like that word. I hope that's the one. If you're always trying to label yourself with my ADHD or with that I'm talking too much or that I'm the black sheep, I'm never going to see the people, the personality, the love, the care, my husband was my best friend. I had no idea I loved him. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I was looking for somebody else. I was looking for someone to tell me what I am. And when you have these friends that love you fully, and your spouse that loves you fully, and your sisters or your brothers and your parents that love you fully, cousins, there are people in your life, if you're a black sheep, that love you for who you are. And they don't define you as a black sheep. In fact, I would guess, and you could try this out, try your best. If you feel like you're a black sheep, find your best friend and ask them if they think you are. They'll either, I mean, like I've said that before, and to one of my sisters, she goes, I thought I was. So, it's like, I don't think it's healthy for me anymore to concentrate on that. So I was ready to put my personality on paper and get rid of my mask and realize that the forever mask is yourself. Okay? And let everybody hear this out there that masks. Your forever mask that you're looking for is yourself. Screw everyone else. Kind of. I mean, honestly, the people will leave. You'll weed them out. You will weed them out naturally. And it will hurt like fire. It will hurt like heck. But what is on the other side of taking the mask off is complete and utter freedom. Solidifying into this role that you've dreamed that you could always be. All of a sudden, you're surrounded with people who understand you. all of you. And for me, that means sometimes my friends need to take breaks from me. But now I'm surrounded by friends like that. Or for me, it's sometimes that I now have friends that need to tell it to me to my face right away. I need you to tell me right away, right now. That's like a good friend of mine. I like a really good friend that I respect and love knows that about me. And I naturally find, I don't know what my friends are looking for in a friend, but I must be it. You know what I mean? So I'm not masking. So my friends are real. My husband is real. My children are real. My relationship with my parents is real. My relationship with my sisters it's all real. Just by changing my perspective of, constantly talking about, constantly deciding that I am something that, concentrating on something that I'm not. Or hold on. It's concentrating on what I am in a negative light, right? The black sheep, or the girl that had to go to the daughter that had to go to rehab, or, whatever it may be. I talk too much, or you're dramatic is a big one. Another thing I deal with that's really hard for me to deal with, like genuinely, please in the comment section, if you are like this, please in the comment section, please tell me that you exist. Another person like you exists, please. My biggest, we're not going to say problem anymore. The hurdle that I find to be the most difficult to jump over for my personality type is that I care so deeply about you all, and I mean all of you, anybody. I'm looking into your soul for that short time. We're in it. I care about you like I really care about you. Okay. This is how I am. I've always been this way. Ask my mom. She could vouch for me. If you're there in the comments, tell them about the trees. Like I can't even handle it when a tree would fall as a child. Okay. I would hug the other trees and be like, are you okay? That's your friend that's dead. You understanding? In the moment. But then when I'm gone, I'm like, I don't care about the trees. What tree? That's my biggest hurdle, because when I'm your friend, sometimes you might not hear from me. Or when I'm your sister, or when I'm your cousin, or when I'm your daughter, or when I'm your lover, I might not remember your birthday. I might not remember that I need to ask you how that doctor appointment. I'm definitely not going to remember about the doctor appointment. I'm not going to remember probably what kind of foods you like. I might not remember, I don't know, but I can remember exactly what you wore the day we met. I can remember the feeling that you gave me when we first met. I can remember what you smell like, what you sound like. I can probably tell you what you need to hear. I'll probably be able to do it in a nice way. When I meet people in the moment, I'm like, I met a woman the other day at the pharmacy, and I said, I really feel like the universe put you in front of me today. I really needed to hear what you just said. And we had like a 10-minute conversation. The people behind me were pissed. I could feel them breathing fire. But we were talking for 10 minutes. I was really going through it. I'm going through some like medical stuff right now. And I didn't want to be on this medication. And I really didn't want to be on this. I really don't want to be on this medication. And she was just talking to me off the ledge, and I was asking her questions. And then we got into talking about personality types, because her grandmother had the same. I felt like we were I felt like I was like a long lost soulmate. And I'm going to care about this woman for the rest of her life. Like, I remember her glasses. I'll always remember those glasses and her lip gloss. But if I ever saw her and she needed something, I would pull my fucking car over in a second. That's just the kind of friend that I am. I'm the kind of friend that I might not do it right. I might not be cookie cutter. I'm not going to be able to show up on time, at the right time. On time, yes. Jesus, I'm punctual. But at the right times in your life, it's always going to be a little off. That's just who I am. And I was constantly looking for friends or people that I would date that don't like that. And how do I know they don't like that? Because they would say all these horrible things about me to my face. Okay? None of my friends think those things about me. None of my husband doesn't think that about me. And my family sure didn't. I thought they did. That's my point. Embracing who I am leads me to meet new people, more people. I like to like collect friends. I have like a couple of really great friends. Other than that, I'm just kind of like wisping around the world like a little dandelion puff. And you might use me to make your big wish, you know? And then off I go. That's literally what my name means. Look up Chelsea. It means port of ships. It's like, I think of myself like a harbor where people are coming into port. They get what they need. They'll talk to me. I talk to them. Come get your goods, get your water, go get your medicine, take a rest, sleep. I want to make you dinner. I want you to get cozy in my house. I want you to come sleep at my house. I want to make you dinner, and I want to ask you all the right questions, and I want to help you start a diary. I want to give you Reiki. I want to help do your nails. I want to do your hair. I want to wash your feet. Literally, like I want to give you a pedicure, manicure. What do you need? My job, I feel like since I was a baby, like a little 3-year-old, is to nurse people and then set them free. And if you don't let me nurse you, you know, then it's not going to work out. And if you don't want to hear what I have to say, it's not going to work out. And if I want to force a friendship where they don't like that about me, it's not going to work out. And I finally just had to accept that. I had to accept that. You know, some people come into my harbor and they stay. Most come, get what they need and leave. But I'm okay with that now. I've made peace with that now. And I no longer think it's like a black sheep situation. I no longer feel strange. I no longer feel like my ADD is the reason why I have all these problems. I don't feel like it's a label. This twice exceptional stuff that I found about myself, it really made actual sense for me. That's how why I'm able to help people see clearly. I can help people see things more clearly. Probably because I can just read patterns, you know? This episode was supposed to be about New England. Apologize, but I clearly needed to get that off my chest today. And I don't know who this was for, but Jesus, maybe it was just for me. You guys, next week, I'm going to be doing an episode, dropping an episode on the Patreon. 2 episodes on the Patreon are coming next week. I interviewed a man who worked in the school system, specializing in special education for 35 years. That's not going to be aired. He wanted to remain anonymous, but I have a lot of good insight about that to follow up with the GATE program episode, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss that. And then I also had an interview. Somebody interviewed me, a woman named Colleen. And I'll give you all her details on the Patreon, because again, it's not going to be complete. There's no video, but the audio I am allowed to share some of that. But she interviewed me for something, an op-ed piece she's working on. She's an independent journalist, and she also works in DC, creating policies, lobbying for policies for children, advocating for children's health policies. And we spoke about alcoholism and how it affects children in the home, especially with like, I think the theme for her might be Irish Catholic families, but for me, it was all families. All families deal with alcoholism. And it was a really awesome hour and a half. And I'm able to share with you little snippets from that. And then I will speak upon alcoholism as it stands with me today. And I've been sober, is it 9 or 10 years? I honestly don't know. It's a 2007, 27. No, it's not. So 9 years. And just the struggles that I've had in between now, 2017 and to now. I just like to kind of once in a while catch up on the Patreon and keep you guys abreast to my sobriety to help anybody struggling. And I hope I see you guys next week. Keep coming. Okay? This is the beginning time. It's gut check time. Okay? I don't know what I'm doing here, but I know that it's going to be great. Why? Because I follow patterns. And this pattern will not fail. I need a producer. Is anybody on Nantucket that produces podcasts? I can pay you in lasagna, fresh pasta, Reiki. If you are a producer and you live on Nantucket, Massachusetts, I am looking for one for my podcast. I cannot pay you money at this time. However, I can pay you with Reiki. I'm a life coach, and I'm also a certified lunatic. I don't have much, but I have a little. Other than that, if you just want to start working for me for free out of the goodness of your heart, maybe you're a Christian, maybe you need to do some charity work. I definitely am a charity case. Come on over, sit down next to me, and press this button right here that makes it stop.